Greetings friends and welcome back to Recon by Fire. For today's battle, the World Leaders are playing in the Bezerker Warband detachment. They are bringing 2 Forge Fiends, 2 Rhinos, 1 carrying Kharn plus 10 Bezerkers, the second carrying a Mo plus 10 Bezerkers, 1 3-man squad of regular 8-bound, 2x3 of Exalted 8-bound, a Demon Prince with the Helm of Brazen Ire enhancement, 2x2 Chaos Spawn, and a Slaughterbound flying solo. Steve is running his Drukhari in the Reaper's Wager detachment. He's bringing a Lady Malys, Lelith, 2 Archons, a Hemonculus, 2x10 Warriors split by Venoms, 10 Witches split by Venom, 5 wracks, 5 incubi, 5 mandrakes, 2x5 scourges, 3 Reavers, 2 Talos, a Ravager, a Raider, 3 Venoms, and a Solitaire. For today's battle, we're playing Mission Pack Hotel. Primary is Supply Drop, deployment is Hammer and Anvil, and we are playing on terrain layout number 8. For pre-game actions, Malys will redeploy the mandrakes back into strategic reserves and redeploy the bikes towards the center of the field. The northern objective will disappear on turn 4 and the southern objective will disappear on turn 5. World Leaders Chaos Spawn will scout 8 inches towards the southern objective. Second squad of Spawn will scout into the nearby building. Regular 8-bound are going to move up against the nearby terrain feature. Top of turn 1 and the World Leaders are going first. They will draw no prisoners and marked for death as their secondaries for the turn. They have selected sustain hits 1 and fight on death as their blessings for the round. Start of the movement phase, the Chaos Spawn will move on to the southern objective an inch away from the wall. 8-bound will do a slight reposition to stage for next turn. Demon Prince will move up next to him behind the terrain feature. Since nothing is within a reasonable charge distance, the Chaos Spawn will move behind the template. The nearby Rhino will take their place on the objective. Forge Fiend is going to pivot and move forward behind the 8-bound. That is going to end the turn for the World Leaders. They will discard Marked for Death for a command point and hold on to no prisoners. Bottom of round 1 for the Drukhari, they will draw Area Denial and no prisoners as their secondaries for the turn. They fail to farm an additional pain token. Start of the movement phase, the Reavers will advance 20 inches to get on the center objective for Area Denial. Venom will move towards the southern objective. The Witches are going to disembark and steal the objective from the Chaos Spawn. The wracks are going to reposition to screen out any potential threats from the backfield. The second Venom will move into the terrain feature and disembark the warriors to create a screen. The third Venom will do the same thing on the opposite side to create a safe haven for the rest of the army. Malys and company are going to move into that building. The Raider is going to repeat the process, also stepping into the terrain feature. Start of the shooting phase, the Reavers are going to fire into the Chaos Spawn on the objective and only score 2 wounds. That is going to end the turn for the Drukhari. They will score 5 points for Area Denial and hold on to no prisoners. Top of round 2 for the World Leaders, they held on to no prisoners and will draw a Tempting Target as their secondaries for the turn. Tempting Target is the center objective. They control 1 objective in no man's land and will score 5 points on primary. Blessings for the round are sustain hits and fight on death. Jackals will sticky the home objective. Start of the movement phase and the Chaos Spawn will advance 1 inch towards the center of the field. Demon Prince will step onto the center objective, remaining off the nearby terrain feature. Second Chaos Spawn advanced 2 inches to make it all the way around the building. Exalted 8-bound use their full movement to make it onto the southern objective. Forge Fiend makes its way around the terrain feature to gain line of sight on the warriors. 8 bound will move within 3 inches of the Demon Prince. The Rhino with Kharn in it will advance 5 inches to make its way around the building and behind the containers. Second Forge Fiend will move around the corner to gain the thinnest line of sight onto the Reavers on the center objective. The Jackals will reposition to better screen out the backfield. The Slaughterbound comes down to fill the remaining gap. At the end of the movement phase, Drukhari will spend a command point to rapid ingress the Incubi squad near the southern objective. Start of the shooting phase, the Forge Fiend will fire into the 6-man warrior squad and takes them down. The second Forge Fiend fires into the Reavers and picks up the entire squad. It's charge o'clock and the Exalted 8 bound will make the charge into the Wyches. Chaos Spawn roll an 11 into the Venom, unable to play around the potential heroic intervention. Second squad of Chaos Spawn fail the charge into the Warriors with an 8. Exalted 8 bound swing into the Wyches and only pick up 3 of them, which is huge as that means they will still control the objective. Chaos Spawn into the Venom, they take it down and will remain in place. Wyches will crack back into the Exalted 8 bound, but no joy. At the end of the turn, Malys and company will get back into the nearby Venom. That is going to end the turn for the World Leaders. They will score 5 points for no prisoners and 5 points for tempting target. If you're enjoying the video thus far and are looking forward to the absolute melee mayhem that's about to happen, by all means take a moment to hit that like button and share the video with a friend. Bottom of round 2 for the Drukhari, they held on to no prisoners from last turn and will draw recover assets as their secondaries for the turn. They will insane bravery the Wyches and score 5 points on primary. They fail to farm an additional pain token and are up to 2. The Raider has selected the 6-inch disembark as its ability. Start of the movement phase and the Incubi will head towards the Exalted 8 bound. Scourges are going to move outside the building to gain line of sight on the Forge Fiend. In a heads-up play, the Warriors will advance to make it onto the center objective, stealing it from the Demon Prince, remaining outside of 18 inches from one Forge Fiend and out of line of sight from the other. Venom will fly over the wall and land on the other side of the building. The second Venom and Scourges will consolidate on the objective to make sure they are outside of potential charge distance. Malys will then disembark on the opposite side of the Scourges to protect them as well as spreading the Vectora. Solitaire moves behind the building to screen out the backfield. Start of the shooting phase, the Ravager will fire into the Chaos Spawn, picking up 1 and wounding a second. Scourges will burn a pain token and fire into the Forge Fiend across the board, free command reroll on one of the saves thanks to the nearby Demon Prince, and it takes 0 damage. Scourges proceed to fire and fade back inside the building. Start of the charge phase and the Incubi roll a 9 into the Exalted 8 bound. 8 bound have to make a leadership check and they're good. Into the fight phase, Incubi will burn a pain token and a free strat to gain sustained hits. World Leaders will spend 2 command points to give the Exalted 8 bound -1 to incoming damage. Exalted 8 bound do not even get to make a save as the dev wounds alone are enough to pick up the entire squad. 2 of them fight on death and manage to take down the remaining Wyches. That is going to end the turn for the Drukhari. They will score 2 points for no prisoners and 3 points for recovering assets. Top of round 3 for the World Leaders, they will draw extend battle lines and overwhelming force as their secondaries for the turn. They control 1 objective and will score 5 points on primary. Blessings for the round are sustained hits and fight on death. Onto the movement phase and the Chaos Spawn heads towards the Drukhari backfield. Wanting to have multiple Overwatch targets next turn, the Forge Fiend will push towards the center of the field. Second Chaos Spawn will head towards the Venom and the wracks. Second Forge Fiend heads towards the center as well, making sure to be within 18 inches of the Incubi. Second Rhino is going to move off the wall to stage for next turn, but make sure that they are unable to rapid ingress on the objective. Regular 8 bound make their way towards the Incubi. Rhino will also make its way onto the objective towards the incubi. Demon Prince will push forward on the center objective behind the terrain feature. Drukhari will spend a command point to rapid ingress the Talos behind the incubi. Onto the shooting phase, the Forge Fiend will fire into the Raider, dealing 6 wounds. Second Forge Fiend will fire into the warriors on the center objective, picking up 5 of them, and the last one will be out of line of sight of all targets. Demon Prince fires into the incubi, but no joy. Rhino fires into the incubi and picks up 2 of them. Onto the charge phase, and we start off with the Chaos Spawn making the dual charge into both the remaining warrior and the Venom. The surviving Chaos Spawn rolls an 11 to charge the point blank scourges inside the building. Rhino is into the incubi with an 8. World Leaders will spend a command point to tank shock that picks up the incubi and wounds the Archon. 8 bound need a 6 into the Archon, they roll a 5, free command reroll from the Demon Prince into a 4. Onto the fight phase, the spawn will pick up 2 of the scourges and take nothing on the crackback. Drukhari spend a command point to give the Venom -1 to hit. The Chaos Spawn will split attacks and manage to pick up both the Venom and the remaining warrior. The Rhino attempts to run over the Archon, but it survives at a single wound, and the Rhino suffers 2 damage on the crackback. That is going to end the turn for the World Leaders. They will score 4 points for extended battle lines and 5 points for overwhelming force. Malys will get back into the Venom. Bottom of round 3, and the Drukhari will draw behind enemy lines and Assassination as their secondaries for the turn. They successfully farm an additional pain token. They control no objectives in No Man's Land and will score 0 points on primary. Archon will fail its battle shock, but then immediately remove it with its own ability. Start of the movement phase, Lelith and the Wyches will disembark from the Raider within line of sight of the nearby Forge Fiend. World Leaders will spend a command point to fire Overwatch and fell 2 Wyches. The remaining squad proceeds to rush the 8 bound. Not wanting to risk Kharn and company being battle shocked when the Talos blow up the Rhino, they will use its reactive move to disembark on the objective. The squad of warriors with the Archon will disembark the Raider, creating a second screen. The Venom rushes the objective in support of Lelith. Malys and her squad will disembark the Venom to spread the Vectora. The Archon will fall back into the nearby building. The Scourges are going to move forward to gain line of sight on the distant Forge Fiend. The Raider will reposition to gain line of sight. The Ravager will also move forward to gain line of sight on the near Forge Fiend. The wracks will collapse towards the Drukhari home objective. Mandrakes will arrive from Deep Strike in hopes of making a 9-inch charge into the Chaos Spawn. World Leaders spend a command point to rapid ingress the Exalted 8 bound squad. Start of the shooting phase, both the Ravager and the Raider will fire into the Forge Fiend, and they manage to pick it up. Scourges burn a pain token and fire everything into the Forge Fiend across the way, and they manage to take it off the field. They proceed to fire and fade behind the 2 transports. The Venom fires into the Demon Prince, dealing no damage, but the warriors fire into the Chaos Spawn and pick up 1 of them. Mandrakes fire into the Chaos Spawn, dealing 3 damage. Archon and the warriors fire into the 8 bound and they pick up 2 of them. World Leaders will pop smoke on the Rhino for 2 CP due to Malys' Vectora, as the Talos will fire into it and it survives at 6 wounds remaining. It's charge o'clock, and the Drukhari start by sending the Solitaire into the Chaos Spawn. Lelith and the Wyches barely make it into the Bezerkers with a 4. The Mandrakes failed their charge into the Chaos Spawn, but the nearby wracks will make it with a 9. And the Talos make the short charge into the nearby Rhino. Into the fight phase, the Solitaire will pick up the Chaos Spawn, flipping the wager, and it does not fight on death. Lelith and the Wyches will gain sustained hit and burn a pain token. Lelith on her own will precision out Kharn and pick up 2 Khorne Bezerkers. The remaining Wyches will pick up 4 more. Kharn and one of the Bezerkers fight on death, picking up the entire squad, including Lelith. The Talos swings into the Rhino, dealing 2 damage and takes nothing on the crackback. The wracks make short work of the remaining Chaos spawn. It does not fight on death. The remaining Bezerkers pile into the Talos and the Archon, which ended up being a mistake as the Talos takes 4 damage and the Archon takes 0, but the Archon does get to fight back and picks up 2 of the remaining Bezerkers. And that will end the turn for the Drukhari. They will discard behind enemy lines for a command point and score 5 points for assassination. Top of round 4 for the World Leaders, they will draw Sabotage and Recover Assets as their secondaries for the turn. They will Insane Bravery the Bezerkers, which I am now realizing should have cost them 2 due to the Vect Aura, and control 2 objectives to score them 16 points on primary. Blessings for the round are Sustained Hits and Reroll Charges. The Rhino fails its leadership check and is battle shocked. Start of the movement phase, the Master of Executions and company will disembark the Rhino, heading towards the wracks and the mandrakes. The Rhino will proceed to move on to the center objective. Slaughterbound will move out into no man's land to recover assets. The 8-bound is going to head towards the Drukhari backfield. Steve will burn 2 command points to reactive move Malys and company back into the Venom. Jackals move up against the deployment line to recover assets. The Rhino will fall back, failing its desperate escape and will deadly demise. It will do enough to take down the nearby Archon, 3 to the Talos, and finally picking up a Bezerker and wounding a second. Kharn then proceeds to head towards the remaining Venom. Exalted 8-bound go after the Talos. Demon Prince will attempt to threaten the Drukhari gaggle. Start of the shooting phase, the Demon Prince fires into the nearby warriors, picking up one of them. Kharn into the Venom, but no joy. Mo and the Bezerkers need a 6 to make it into the wracks. They roll a 5 and a reroll into a 3. Exalted 8-bound make the charge into the Talos. Demon Prince plays it safe and charges the nearby warriors, hoping to consolidate into the scourges. The lone 8-bound rolls an 11 into the Venom, hoping to pop it for Kharn. Kharn just barely makes it in with a 3, but that's good enough. Drukhari will spend their final command point to heroically intervene with the Solitaire. Into the fight phase, and the Solitaire absolutely demolishes Kharn and the remaining Bezerker. 8-bound swings into the Venom, only dealing 2 damage, but takes 0 on the crackback. The Exalted 8-bound finish off the remaining Talos. Demon Prince absolutely pops off with its sweep attack, picking up the entire squad and the Archon, and proceeds to consolidate into both the Raider and the Scourges. And that is going to end the turn for the World Leaders. They will score 3 points for recovering assets and discard Sabotage for a command point. Bottom of round 4 for the Drukhari, they will draw Marked for Death and Display of Might as their secondaries for the turn. They control no objectives in no man's land and will score 0 points on primary. Malys and her squad will disembark the Venom, heading towards the Exalted 8-bound. Solitaire has his eyes set on the Demon Prince. Scourges fall back from the Demon Prince and into the terrain feature. The Ravager will fly over all of them towards the center to get line of sight on the Rhino. The second squad of Scourges will move out of the building to gain line of sight on the Rhino. Wracks move in on the Berserker squad. Mandrakes feel like this is a good idea and will follow them. Start of the shooting phase, the Scourges will burn a pain token and fire into the Rhino, absolutely obliterating it. Malys and company fire into the Exalted 8-bound, picking up one of them. It's charge o'clock and the Solitaire makes it into the 8-bound. Malys and company charge the Exalted 8-bound and they're in. Wracks easily make the charge into the Bezerker squad. And the Mandrakes are in as well. The fight phase begins with the Solitaire picking up the 8 bound. The mandrakes and wracks swing in, taking down 6 of the Kharn Bezerkers. Malys and the wyches pick up the remaining Exalted 8 bound. Mo and the Zerkers get to crack back and pick up the mandrakes. That is going to end the turn for the Drukhari. They will score 4 points for display of might and 2 points for picking up the gamma target, which was the Exalted 8 bound. Top of round 5 for the World Eaters, they will draw display of might and area denial as their secondaries for the turn. They will score 0 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, and the Jackals will advance onto the center objective. Slaughterbound will also advance to make it onto the center objective. Mo and the gang will also make their way onto the center objective, putting as much OC on it as possible. Into the fight phase, the Demon Prince will pick up the Raider and consolidate into the nearby Scourges. Malys and company get back into the Venom. That is going to end the turn for the World Leaders. They will score 5 points for area denial and discard display of might for a command point. Bottom of round 5 for the Drukhari, they will draw a tempting target and establish locus as their secondaries for the turn. Start of the movement phase, the Venom will fly over the building onto the center objective. Malys and company will proceed to disembark on the objective. Ravager will then also move onto the objective for the additional OC and to establish locus. That will score the Drukhari 2 points for established locus, 5 points for the tempting target since that was the only objective remaining, and 15 points on primary. That is going to make the final score 63-58 in favor of the World Eaters. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you've enjoyed it this far, then take a moment to drop us a comment down below so we know you would like to see more content like this in the future. That will do it for today, my friends. So until next time, as always, happy gaming.